Hello, welcome to the first in hopefully many podcasts for the Scholars of Kiora. I am Toa Lavoris, and today I am joined by these lovely fellows. Would you please introduce yourselves for today's podcast?
Hi, I'm Pilot.
Hi, I'm Frost.
I'm Dolph.
I am Sparta.
And I'm Torma.
Cool. So, today we are going to be discussing a whole couple of things. Mainly what we plan on doing with the channel and what we will be doing in the future and future projects. We'll also be discussing a bit on who we are and what have we done beforehand so that you can get a bit of a background on ourselves. So, I say we start first with what we do on our own respective channels. So I'll go first since I'm already talking. I do a whole lot of nothing, to be completely honest. Occasionally upload stuff. I mainly focus on doing digital artwork, and so I'm currently planning on some content which hopefully will be released next year. Now,
Alright, I guess I'll go next.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go next. I guess on my channel I mainly post just Bionicle lore videos that explain the story and all that. And then I guess my other main thing is just mocks and my fan story that I'm working on.
Yeah. I post my mocks and stop motions. I unfortunately don't have a consistent upload schedule just yet, but I'm looking to expand content and get more regular with it.
Yeah, I post mostly stop motions, both Bionicle and Ninjago related, and I'm planning on doing some mock reviews and showcases and stuff, but currently it's just stop motions.
I've got a massive story in the works. Plans for videos would be just more for narration, not anything stop motion. Still gonna have pictures involving mocks in scene, but no stop motion.
Waiting on you, Toma. Go on. Don't be shy now.
I just post memes, alright?
There you go. We got the meme already.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a very easy background on who we are. We'll obviously have our links to our respective channels in the description. So if you do wish to check us out in your free time, that would be very appreciated from all of us.
Yes.
So yeah.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Do it!
Definitely like and subscribe.
Or I will come to your house and kill you. So if you don't want to
take
get
your
killed,
Bionicles.
Wow, that's
yes, we'll kill you
Very
and take all your Bionicles.
At least
Don't worry. He also
Right.
threatened me with this.
You don't want that to happen to you.
At least you'll know that the Bionicle will go to a good cause.
Yep.
Right. Well, so before we get on with any other stuff regarding us, I say let's explain what the whole Scholars of Kiora is and what the whole plan is with that. So, the Scholars of Kiora, for what we have been discussing for a while now, is a collaboration channel between us. And we do have a story which we are eventually going to release. But for the time being, it's mainly just us helping each other do our own separate projects. But one day stuff will get good and have many fun stuff to go. So at the minute we're working on these podcasts. The story will get released probably sometime next year, which is something I'm definitely looking forward to. It'd be very nice to actually get that done.
Mm-hmm.
Then we are thinking on doing a whole couple of the series. However, any suggestions you guys may come up with, please drop them in the comments. We'll give them a look over and we'll consider them if they're good enough. Yeah, and that's mainly the whole Kiora thing, so I think it's back to us now. So, we'll start with the first topic on our list, is how did we get into Bionicle?
I don't know. Do you remember how many breads you've eaten in your life?
I've eaten a total of 77. Like loaves. I do keep
Pathetic.
Rookie number.
That's impressive.
So who wants to go first with the origin story, let's say?
I guess I'll
I'll
go
go.
first.
Oh.
Oh. All right.
Probably let you go.
All right. Well, I guess how it all started is I just saw like an ad on TV for the 2009 Glatorian sets, and I was like, I want that. So I went out and I got one. It all just started from there.
That's fair.
Okay, so I started buying sets in 2008. I had no idea what they were. I just knew they looked cool. And then Bionicle ended with me only having watched the movies, never gotten fully into it. I moved on to Hero Factory, but then when I got to elementary school, they had a bunch of Bionicle books and comics. So I just started reading those, and I got into Bionicle and reading.
Yay.
Make sure to read books, kids, because you get smart.
Oh no, that's not how it worked with me.
What do you mean?
I got much dumber after that.
How does that work?
Brain power started reducing.
It's evolving, just backwards.
It can evolve in any direction, forward or backward.
I went sideways.
So I actually was pretty big into the Slizers Throwbots line. Had, I believe, actually solid 80% of them. And then when the Robo Riders came out, my brother really got into those. And I did get a couple of them, but nowhere near as obsessed as he was with them. But then once both of those respective lines were canceled and Bionicle came out, it just felt like a natural progression to just be like, we're getting into this now. Because we were kids less than 10 years old at the time. So just the newest thing from Lego. And we both fell in love with it, and we just kept I mostly kept buying the sets. So I think it was till about 2005. And then after that, I kind of I kind of kept up with the story, but I did stop buying sets, and then of course the Legos never left my house, and just over the past couple of years, slowly getting back into it, and over the past year and a half, really getting back into it with the discovery of Bricklink.
Yeah. So I believe it's Forrest. You say you don't remember, do you? So
No, well, seriously though, I think I got into it like 2009 with the Glatorian. Like, I got, I think Metus was my first set. But back then, I didn't really care about the lore or the story. I got into that in like when G2 came out. So,
all right.
yeah.
Right. So Toma, do you want to go or shall I go?
I'll go. I got into Bionicle last year, alright? I'm pretty sure it's because I was getting back into Hero Factory, and then I found out about Bionicle G1.
Understandable. It's a good way to start, I guess. Yeah, I started back in 2002. My first Bionicle was Liwa Nuba. It was a fun year, because obviously it's an obsession that's never left. Started back then. Yeah, I was actually kind of distraught when they cancelled it the first time. And I was like, oh. And then Hero Factory came out, and I was like, it isn't an exactly great substitute, but it works, I guess. You know, the Hero Factory sets were kind of cool. Especially the
That's
first
what
ones.
addiction does to you.
Yeah, but especially the first wave, because they were a lot much more like Bionicle, because obviously CCBS wasn't around. So they had like the actual sculpted parts and stuff, and they were pretty cool. And then obviously they brought in CCBS, which was All right, and then obviously the whole divide of people that were using CCVS to make Bionicle mocks and people that were just using the original G1 parts, and then there was me just starting the hybrid train early using both.
Yeah.
I remember also
Yeah,
I found when they did the Ben 10 series, I remember getting those as well just so that I could put them onto Bionicle.
Wow.
Those sand green parts are a lifesaver.
I've actually
wish I
still
had
got
arguing
one of the
while
Ben
Levo
10
was
sets.
vibing.
Sorry?
Everybody's just arguing while Levo was vibing.
Yes. Yeah, but I actually...
I don't think they even sold those Ben 10 sets here. Oh.
Well, I've actually still got one of them built. I should probably take a picture next to Levo. Just to show the size difference. Yeah. But yeah, I started off quite early. So, next thing we got to discuss. Well, how did you guys come around and building around your self mocks? Like, what led you to building a self mock? We'll start with.
Well, when I built mine, I was actually trying to build a revamp of Polymari, but I ended up just scrapping that to make Teray. And that's kind of why they had like similar color schemes starting out, like the lime green and the dark blue.
Yeah.
Which I've kind of changed now to like black instead of the blue, but yeah, that's kind of how it started out.
Interesting.
Yeah, for me, I think it was just like, hey, what if I made a Bionicle? That was me. And that's how it started. So
that gave off loads of JoJo vibes, I'm not gonna lie. It's like, what if I made a Bionicle? That was me!
You thought it was a regular mock, but it was me. Myself.
Right,
I think
Go on.
my first mock, I think, was probably around 2004, because I think I had all the telemetry by then. But what I did is I took apart one of the Toa Mata, not the Nuvas, because I was using them. And by then, Lego launched those like Technic bikes with the wind-up motors. So I wanted to use the blue one for that, and I'm like, I am making a Toa Speed. I don't think speed is an element, but I am going to work with it. So I made a mock that could, a regular Toa size mock at the time, Toa Mata mock, and I managed to make it fit on that bike figure, which I thought back then was like, heck yeah, I am that good. But when I think about it now, I'm like, oh god, I could make that so much better.
Hold on, wait. You had a toe of speed?
Yeah.
What was his island? Vegas?
I was thinking on the idea that who would win between a race between him and Bohatu. Yes.
Yes is the answer.
You're not thinking the drug speed, right?
No, well, certainly not. I was a child during that time. I think I was like 11 years old when that happened.
Yeah, my toe is a toe of
Yeah.
LSD. He trips all the time.
Yeah, my Toa was always a Toa of ice. I wrote my story first, then I built my first model, and then I realized that they both sucked, and I rewrote and rebuilt multiple times until I got to where I am today.
Nice. Alright, I'll go this time, Tom. So, Levoris started off originally as a mock from 2003, in where I took Rakshi limbs and put them onto a Toa Nuva body, so I could actually have elbows in his arms and legs, like knees. And I thought I was really smart for that. And he had a Nuva shoulder plate as his mask, which is terrifying now that I think about it. But since then I've always started like evolving. I eventually, got more parts, got more stuff. Then the Fantoka line came out, and I thought they were great because of the whole aerodynamic pieces and all that. And I obviously started using the Miru for that. Those was back in the days when Levoris was actually a toe of air, believe it or not. It was scary times. But then eventually I started copying building methods from various biotubers at the time. most notable one, I think, was Moon Werewolf Air, because she did a cool werewolf mock, like a self-mock called Moon. It was pretty cool, and I copied that for Levoris for a while. Then eventually I kind of said, oh, I'm bored of copying, let's actually make something. So I set out to make Levoris again, with the goal of giving him as much articulation as possible, without it being, like, strange. So I'm not putting like free elbows just because I can. It's more like as much human articulation as possible. So waist articulation, elbows. He's actually got shoulder articulation, so he can raise his arms and then raise his arm again, like clavicle articulation. He's got 4 fingers on each hand with a thumb, all articulated and all that. I was pretty proud of that, and I'm still am, to be fair. And then I've just kept on involving him since then.
Yeah, articulation is pretty important on mocks, especially like self-mocks, because they're like you in a way, so they kind of have to be expressive.
Yeah.
Imagine being expressive. This post was made by Finnish gang.
Yeah, my guys aren't all that mobile, but I think they're functional.
Mm-hmm. Oh, as long as a mock has got the basic requirements, I'd say it's not necessarily a bad mock. I'm saying that Levoris set out with the idea of having as much human articulation as replicable on a mock.
Yeah, like so long as you surpass a Toamata, you're safe.
Yeah. All right, Toma, you're up. How did you make your mock?
It originally started out as a Mata mock, and then I used a design from Master Cog, and then I got bored of it because it was just too tall. So then I started from scratch using CCBS, something I was familiar with, and then I added some technical elements, and then I got Torma. Originally, I was gonna have Torma as like a villain, but I thought, hey, everyone else got the self-mock. Why can't?
Yeah, fair enough. So that's us discussing that part. So, what else should we talk about, boys? We got some news recently about stuff going on in ByTube, I guess. I'm not really up to date.
So there is the one about kind of like our process for building mocks.
Yeah, we can discuss that as well. So, what comes first, name or design?
Well, a lot of my recent mocks have just been like revamps of old ones, so I kind of just already have the story and the name like set in stone.
Yeah.
I think that's the case with a lot of my stuff.
I often have like a rough idea for the type of character that I'm making, but during the building process, it always changes, like both the story and the appearance.
Mm-hmm.
I do story and character first, then I build the mock with an element and kind of personality in mind, and then I name it because I'm horrible at that, so I leave that to the end.
So, how do you put them into the story if they don't have a name? Like, you like jot down like red guy.
Oh no, I'm even worse. I'm like that guy, or this dude that I mentioned earlier, or yo person.
I see.
Which is how I memorized you guys until I learned your names.
Cool. When I make mocks, I usually go ahead and try and come up with a design first before anything, so I don't actually have them in the story. I don't give them names. I just build something cool, and then I see how they would fit in what location, or how they would fit in, or who I could use them to represent and stuff like that. That's how I build. I usually also build with some kind of reference in mind, so I usually take like an idea of something and try and project it onto the mock. So yeah, it's like, for example, with some of my more recent Makuta mocks, which I still haven't taken pictures of, I've been definitely focusing on more like the creepy, unnatural, paranormal side of things, like demons and, some descriptions of evil entities. It's very good reference.
I'll send you a picture of my sister. It's great inspiration.
Yikes.
I mean, there are times where it's like, okay, I have a design in mind. It's just a matter of I know what I gotta do. I just gotta do it. But then there are others where I could be staring at my parts for hours and just thinking to myself, is that gonna look good? Couple something together? No. And then, in regards to like stories and stuff, like, I mean, there are definitely times again where it's like I've already got it nailed down to a T, and other times it's just like I'm building something here. Ooh, I like this. What am I gonna do with it? Aha, kind of thing where I'm just essentially flying by the seat of my pants.
I feel that.
Yeah.
But lately, I've been trying to not. I mean, there's nothing. I thought about words. Like some pre-built torsos are nice, but when a lot of them I have are Anika, and then I just feel like I'm getting way too repetitive, and I'm like, okay, I want to do something more original, and I've been using. I use WCP's simple custom torso, and I've actually been able to use the Metru Matoran armor, which was actually one of the biggest pieces I've wanted to be able to figure out how to use well for a long time. To actually use his armor outside of just like, this is the main body for a Metru Matoran. Yeah, I know that. I want to use his chest armor. Like, yes, I do work out. And having finally, when I was messing around with the Metru parts that I had before getting more, seeing how that just fits on almost perfectly, I'm like, I wonder if LEGO was actually intending for this to be chest armor for the Matoa Metru. But, because my progression of my self mock, when I really got back into Bionicles at this point almost 2 years ago now, my self mock was a four color, mostly two shaded red and blue mock, but it was on a Metru build. And I still had the gear function in there, like some kind of noob. But the idea is the mono red Metru chest that Taraga Duma had. It was like, okay, I want to use this. And when I was able to line up the pins just like that on the Metru torso, I'm like, okay, this just it fits too perfectly. Like LEGO must have thought of this.
Yeah, well, they definitely did use it with the Toa Nuri mock, I think it was. Was it Nuri? No,
No,
one of the
I think that was Nuri.
Was it?
Yeah, it's the
red
Rahaga
one,
in the
yeah.
Toa version. Yeah.
He had a silver one of those on his chest to go with his lack of wasted opportunity by LEGO to give us silver Metru shoulder pads and instead just use the Nova ones.
Oh God! Like there are so
It
many
was so
colors.
close to perfection. They could have done it. Nah.
And then, like by extension, then why couldn't we gotten the like gold Matoran chest plate then from what's the other one's name?
Who instead had one
Rooney.
of
The
the
Borak shield.
It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was still a good recolor, but
Oh
still,
yeah.
but
it's like if we had the choice, could we have gone with the Matoran chest armor? I think so.
This is brilliant,
well,
but I would have preferred this.
Yeah, tell me about that. What are your guys' opinions on recasting Bionicle parts to get colors that obviously weren't given to us by LEGO?
I'm good with it. Like I just paint, like spray paint parts.
Mm-hmm.
Like the colors I want them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. I paint parts all the time.
I
even
haven't done it
custom
yet,
too.
but at the same time, it's like you guys do it well, but I've definitely seen some that just go like, oh, could you at least try and clean that up? Because I like it to where it's done well, but if it ends up looking like you just destroyed the piece beyond recognition, when you're like, no, I'm just doing a color alter. How did you get lumps and stuff in there like that?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I've seen a guy on Instagram. I don't remember his name just now, but I'll put his Instagram in the description because he does some pretty cool stuff. And where he's been recasting parts out of resin. So instead of like painting a piece, he takes a piece, makes a mold, and then recasts it. And resin is usually transparent, so he puts in dyes, I think, in order to change the colors. But because of that, he can also determine the opacity, so you can have like translucent pink if you wanted to. He's made some parts
Ooh.
recently which are transparent
Oh.
white, so like eye stalks for
That's
eyes
awesome.
in just white, like transparent colors. It's pretty cool, and
That is
definitely something I want to get into, because obviously that way I don't have to go around painting stuff. And the cool
Yeah.
side of recasting means I don't run out of parts anymore.
Yeah,
exactly.
please do stick that in the description because I want to check that out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy's also been experimenting recently by sprinkling glitter into some stuff. So he made it avioki with the transparent, clear resin, but with glitter on the inside. And it looks cool.
Ooh.
It looks cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely put his Instagram link specifically down in the description. That's where I've seen him. Yeah, so
Yeah, another big thing that people do that's kind of out of the box is 3D printed pieces.
yes,
Those I really like.
Mm-hmm.
I need
Yeah.
to calibrate my 3D printer to actually work with those, because I 3D printed a copy of Liwa Mata's axe I found, and I got it like 0.5 millimeter too big. So it fits, but is very tight, and it could damage the part it's been plugged into, and I don't like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, 3D printed parts, and I've worked for 3D printers for a few years. Like, yeah, they have the potential, but the thing is, you know, depending on both the printer and how you orienting the print, that really makes or breaks it.
Yeah. For example, if you were to print like a thing diagonally, you'd get the print lines across it, and it would be weird.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you printed it flat, then they're flat, and it's all good.
But yeah, the connection point, whatever way you know is going to orient, if you orient it with the way how your printer prints best in that direction, that's how you'd have to do it. Because I've had to do that for my last job. Was I had to print these pieces that we used in the machine, and it reduced time and cost. Figuring out we had to tip it at a bit of an angle in order then to, I think it actually did take off like an hour of the job, but still, printing angles are important for custom parts. I'll leave it at that.
No, something else you also want to make sure is that if when you're printing, is any axles, like specifically for bionicle parts. So if you're printing, you want to make sure the axles print horizontally, because if you print them vertically, then there is a weakness there, which could mean that you could snap it off, leaving an axle in wherever you put it into.
Right.
Oh, I hate that.
So, just as a tip for you guys, if you ever do print those parts, print them so that the axle itself is horizontal, just so that you can make sure that it will stick to the rest of it, because it's like, because 3D printers print them in like sections which are like planes. So the joint between two planes is weak, but if you have the axle made up of multiple planes instead of being multiple planes stacked on each other, is more like planes that are part of the piece as well. It just works better because then they don't snap. Not necessarily learned the hard way, but analyzed, and I made sure I didn't make that mistake the first time I printed something. That would have been bad. Because at least, for example, if an axle gets stuck inside of a Lego piece and it's a Lego axle, it's the same width, so there is a chance of getting it out because of the frictionless join, right? Because Lego designs it to have enough friction to stay in, but not enough friction to permanently be in there. If my Leo's axle part snapped and stayed inside, that would probably mean I might either destroy the piece or have to just leave it there, because of the millimeters extra it has, it won't come out.
You might be able to like push it out like the back of like the other end of the connector.
Depends on the actual piece you've plugged it into.
Right.
True, because isn't there like a small like hole between like both sides of the connector? Like you can't push it like all the way through, but like, you know, it gets like smaller to like stop it like halfway through.
Yeah, that'll be a hand connector. But for example, just hypothetically, if I were to connect this to a metro head, there's a ball joint in the way of the other side of the axle. I can't push anything through.
Yeah.
So I haven't done it. Just you know, I want to see people doing it and complaining, because that annoys me quite a bit. Is when people don't follow instructions. Don't follow instructions and then complain. That's what's really annoying. So yeah, I think Forrest and Thomas still need to talk about their processes, I believe.
I think I said something in the beginning, but Yeah, I said that I have like a rough idea for the type of character, like in the story that I want to make.
Mhm.
Like if I want to make a villain that like uses ice powers or something, but then during the building process, the idea often evolves quite drastically often. So the end result might be very different from what I was originally going to do.
Mhm. Yeah.
But after the mock is done, then I like properly write their story and come up with the name. The name often comes last, because it's really hard to come up with a good name.
Yeah, I know. The amount of characters I've renamed just because my original name was a bit bad.
I actually like recently renamed myself Mock for like the second time.
Mhm.
So like he used to be Zerid. I think he was still that when we were discussing it sometime, but now his name is Joharu, which is like totally not a combination of Jotaro and Pohatu.
Yeah, well, I
But
actually think it sounds better, to be honest. So it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and it kind of sounds like my real name. Like it's not exactly it, but it sounds more like it than Zerid.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well. Ooh. Seems like Toma might be having some problems. Toma, you there? You good? You alive, friend?
Yes. You are next to explain your mocking process.
So where do you start? Where do you end? What is end?
Well,
do people truly end?
Oh, all right. So I first build because I feel like the build is what makes the name, because you get a style and a sense of what it is, and then after that you would obviously think of the name. Well, that's what I do, and overall, it seems to be working. So yeah.
Neat. So, here's a question from me to you guys. What's your most used part when mocking, and what's your favorite part? And I want to say that in the used parts, I don't want to include axles or pins because they're obviously just going to take the cake all the time. So, what's your most used, and what's your favorite parts, which are not axles or pins?
I really like bow rock eyes, like a lot.
Yeah.
I think those are some of my favorite pieces. They're also pretty useful too for like kind of shaping, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think it's Exoforce arms. They're like, you can use them as fingers, but you can also use them for like small details in the torso and as armor. They're like, and they have a lot of connection points, so they're like really versatile.
Definitely.
Yeah.
My most used would be Glatorian necks, just because I can put them in so many ways, like very versatile. I can use them as a neck, as a shoulder joint. I've even used them in a couple arms and legs.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite, though, would probably be just the plain old, just single ball joint that you can push all the way through, like an axle.
Yeah.
Because those are just the tiniest bit more versatile.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're great for custom limbs, and just how well, at least all the ones I've been getting, they hold well when they with a pass-through ball joint and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So making anything with them, I have yet to have any issues with them.
Neat. How about you, Toma?
My most used part is obviously the hand connectors.
Sorry,
and I guess
connectors.
Hand connectors.
All right, yeah.
My favorite part would be Exoforce arms. They're so useful. I'm using them on a Vazon right now, not for fingers, but using them as placeholder for teeth.
Interesting.
I'd have to say one of my probably most used pieces would have to be kind of I don't know. I'm trying to assess how many pieces I use. I would have to say Metru legs in various colors because those seem to be my go-to limb because I feel like they're the most balanced in proportions and stuff like that. Like well, the way I build certain characters, I think, okay, Vaki limb, the Vaki leg. Okay, if I'm going to use them on the forearm, first off, Popeye, and then the idea is like, okay, I'm going to want this to indicate this is a strong character and stuff like that. But if I want the character to be, looking pretty much like average Joe, well, then my go-to then at that point is Metru limb. And with the amount of colors available in that, a close second is the lower Rakshi leg, because that is also coming in a wide variety of colors.
Yeah.
But just with a little bit more colors, the Metru limb is my most used piece. And I think I've pretty much said what my favorite piece was at this point. It's actually the Metru Matoran chest plate, because I just think it looks good. And again, with like WCP's torso, custom torso, just the way how that piece has a bit of a V and the way the torso has a bit of a V, it actually, I think, it flows really well, because I've done that a grand total now of 3 times, and it's soon about to be 5.
Neat. Right, so I'd say my favorite looking piece would be the Nuva foot. I really like how it looks. I use it nearly everywhere. On most things. We're using as lower arms, upper arms, chest armor, back armor, shin pads, actual feet as well. It's very, very used in my collection. However, my most used part would definitely be the upper limbs of a Nika builds. The normal Metru upper limb, but with 3 spots instead of 1. Because I use that as, the upper part for most limbs, and then on an additional 5th one, usually for the torso, which I then build onto that. So yeah, I'd definitely say that's my used build part, because pretty much for most of my mocks, they have 3 of them. Sorry, 5 of them. And I've got a lot of mocks built in that manner.
Right. That does make a lot of sense, because especially compared to me, you build kind of big, right?
Kind of. I think especially compared to anyone, that's...
I mean, how tall is like your self mock?
Levorus, last time I measured him, he was 14 inches tall. He was over a foot
14
tall.
inches.
Oh.
Possibly taller now, because I did redo his feet, and that was after the last time I measured him. He is tall.
Yeah. I think Teray at this point is like 11 inches after I redid him.
My guy is like 8 inches tall.
Yeah, my self-mock, I think, is between 9 and 10 inches tall.
We out here pretending to understand those American measurements.
Okay, hold on, let me work on the calculator and do the conversions.
On average...
25.4.
Yeah, so on average, an inch is 3 centimeters, so...
2.5, just go with that.
Or
Whenever I put the subtitles on these, I might just put in both measurements just so that people can understand.
Yeah.
So in centimeters, the rate would be 33, I guess, if he's 11 inches, right? Because you said 1 inch is 3 centimeters, correct?
It's like 2.5 to 3. It's
2.5.
So it's like about
it's something silly like 2.67 or something like that. So
you know what? Let's just pull out my calculator.
Inch to millimeter conversion is 1 inch is 25.4 millimeters, so it translates to just over 2.5 centimeters.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be like 20 centimeters tall then.
Yeah, mine would be 29 about.
So my most of my figures are about a quarter meter tall. Yes, that makes sense. 25 centimeters.
Wow.
How about you, Torma? How tall is yours?
My mocks and my self mock are usually just a little over a Nika build.
So they're roughly around anywhere between 8 and 10 inches, depending on limbs and other attachments.
So you're probably
Yeah.
closer to where I am. Welcome to the Short Fry Club.
Oh, I'm glad to be welcomed.
Ah, good. Nobody here will look down on you. But we're all too short to... But none of us are... But we don't have anyone tall enough to look up to here, so, you know.
What are we, McTorrin size to them?
To me, probably.
God.
Yeah, I've definitely been delving into more Technic constructions, and that's definitely not helped in keeping
Yeah, I
things
got a
small.
question for you, Levo.
All right.
Is Levoris taller than the Mata Nui Spirit robot?
No, not in law, and they never was official set, so no.
Darn.
He is just he's about like a centimeter or two bigger than the Todas dragon. The set. So.
Oh my. That's tall.
Yeah. So. Yeah. We can do Sparta. That sounds like a good idea. Discussing the parts. So yeah, Sparta. What part do you find difficult to use?
The ones I find to struggle with, it's not so much individual pieces, it's the idea of getting it to flow. Because I struggle with doing custom torsos, and I think I commented earlier about the idea where it's just like I want to get better at making more unique builds, and the idea is like, sure, I've used using a Nika torso probably in at least 10 plus mocks. And it's just like, okay, it's time to start diversifying. And then it's just like, okay, if I do Glatorian next, okay, this dude is got some wide shoulders, very broad. Maybe save that for a Titan torso, but then again, it's like, then he'll be like a Titan stickman or something like that with the way the rest of the torso looks. So, to me, it's not so much more about... I guess by extension, to answer the question is lift arms. The idea is using them as filler in regards to like doing good torsos and that, especially for Titans, because I want to get better with Titans. And
yeah, so
but parts I find easy to work with. I don't know if I feel like I'm patting myself on the back too much, but I feel like I do a pretty good job with weapons and stuff like that. Like, I think, like, personally, I really like how I did my greatsword with those big Vaki blades and that. And then I had a smaller variant using the Takanuva staff blade pieces. That was what it was for a while. I'm like, hold on, let me try with the Vaki blades. And then there have been a couple other weapons I've done that I feel like, oh yeah, these look amazing.
Guessing it's a Takanuva stuff from 2003, right? Like the original one?
Yeah. Yes.
Because he had a staff when he released in 2009, but it was more like a giant stick with swords. Yeah. I think parts I find difficult to use are the CCBS feet that came out with Hero Factory. Like the flat ones that they used on all the Star Wars sets as well. And for the Toa and the G2 generations. I don't know, I find them really annoying to use. I don't like the shape. It doesn't flow with anything else either.
Well, like, yeah, but the other portion I find, there are two other big things about that I find annoying. First off, you look underneath them, the only thing holding them up is just the, like, plain exterior. Then it's hollowed out. There's nothing there, as opposed to the Mata feet that actually went down, and they had connection points along the sides and stuff like that. So the fact that there's, like, where they try to use them in the back, there's not really much there. And then the idea of, like, right past the foot, then there's that opening, and it's just like, I think you're missing, like, half the foot here. To me, it would have made more sense
than the actual foot. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I feel like if they did that reverse, that piece would be so much better. To where if they actually did the whole foot and then put the 3 holes on the bottom that way, so then it made it easier to fill in for decals after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just find it really obnoxious to use because, for example, if you want to use it as armor plates, well, then you've got an open ball socket now. So you can't really use it as armor plates. You want to use it as a foot, it looks weird because it doesn't flow with anything. It looks obnoxious, so I can't use it. And the parts I find really easy to use, pretty much like metro chests, like the small little ones that people use for waists occasionally, for like armor. I find those quite easy to use. Anika and Piraka armor plating for the legs, also really easy to use. And the Vaki lower legs, the ones that you mentioned that were like Popeye, so I find those actually really easy to work with as well. How are you, Frost?
So, I find that, like, a part that I absolutely hate working with is the CCBS torso, like the one that came in all the Hero Factory sets.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many of those, and I never know what to do with them because they're just so, like, they're big. They don't leave much room for, adding on cool armor. It's like 1 or 2 pieces that are meant to go on there. And overall, I just can't find a use for them. I've got like a huge bucket. A part that I find really easy to use is actually the CCBS limb pieces, specifically the lower limb, but I can use the upper limbs too. It's like wherever I'm building, there is always a place for one of those pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like I can flip them upside down, I can just plug them on as regular arms, or I can take one of those 2 socket ones and just do a regular shoulder and then a metro leg for the arm.
Yeah. So I believe we now are on Pilot or Forest, whichever one of you two want to go first.
I guess I'll go. I don't know, like an easy part to use for me would probably be like what Levo said, the Metro torsos, or like the Metro. I can't talk. The Metro chest plates. Those are pretty easy to use. I like those a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then the most difficult ones, I don't know, like prefab torsos. Like I just don't like ever really get to use like at all. Like I just have like a bin of them that I never touch. Like what Frost said. So.
Nice. I've actually found a bit of a use for the Inika torsos that I'm not using because of the custom ones I've been building. It's actually quite useful for making stuff like Raki and like creatures. Because they're big, they occupy space, and they're stable enough to actually hold up something.
That's true. I guess like a lot of like the combo models from like earlier years also use those too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Toph, what do you have?
Well, it's not really something that I'd consider hard to use, but like the ball joint where the axle doesn't go through it, like it stops there. I hate working with it because it like at least on most of mine it comes off really easily. So especially if you're making like a bigger mock. So.
Yeah, the older ones where they don't go through, I just find them completely useless because they do, just like you say, they slip out. And I mean, what I've tried to do in the past to try and help it stick is just like I'll take like duct tape and then just take an axle or whatever is going to go in there and just rub a little bit, just so a little bit of adhesive does get on. It's not enough to obviously ruin the piece. It's easily to get cleaned off, but it definitely helps keep it stuck in there.
Yeah, Definitely the main thing with those, the reason it does that is because half of the socket isn't, half of the interior is actually the axle joint, and then the other half is a stud joint. You can actually put them on studs. That's what they're designed for. And
Right.
they've only got half an axle socket to actually hold on, and that's why they fall off easy. Because they haven't got the full axle space.
Yeah, they don't have the grip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like the only annoying part of them. Like they look, well, like in my opinion at least, they kind of look better than like the pass-through ball joints, but they, like you said, they don't like grip on as well.
Yeah, so that was the difficult part. What about the easy ones, Forrest?
The basic hand connector is like,
Yeah.
it can be used almost anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I started referring to those as ankle connectors when the Glatorian came out, because obviously now they've got actual hands.
yeah,
And well, you still use that piece to connect the feet on, so they're technically still valid as ankle connectors. And that's what I call them.
I've used them as some greebling.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you think to the Metro build, I've actually been using those as kind of as a waist greeble and decal to help with the secondary color at times.
Mm-hmm.
So because the rounded end fits well with the way the bottom of the Metro torso itself works. So,
for example, on my Glatorian self-mock, he's actually got those on his thighs to kind of represent like layered armor. Looks pretty neat.
They do work pretty well for armor. Just like stick one on and covers it up pretty good.
Yeah, so what's your guys' opinions on the fact that WCP actually managed to win the Arthaka contest? I think that was pretty cool. Because obviously...
I think it's great.
I was... first off, when I first saw the mock he presented, first off, the fact that it involved a lot of sand green, I'm like, okay, the uniqueness of the color and stuff, this needs to go on. I would have still been happy if he didn't win, as long as he was in the finals or something like that. Just because it's like, again, the sand green. To me, it's just like, that is awesome. He managed to get enough sand green pieces. And the way he also did the chest with the dark gray.
The dark grey, and then the combination of the Ben 10 thigh pieces to help add smoothness on top of it.
Yeah, that big shield piece. That was to be like, oh my god, that is artwork right there.
Yeah, I think he really did a good job with that, and I'm actually kind of proud to say that as an Arthaka, I would willingly accept as a canon one. So, congratulations to him.
Now, yeah, that was amazing.
I would admit, a tad bit disappointed with the Helrix one though, the one that won. It looks,
I would rather have that.
At one point, it just, I don't know.
To be fair though, at least the Noodle Helrix didn't win.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going with. I'd rather have that than Noodle Helrix.
Was beautiful. That thing was beautiful. Definitely should have won, but it was beautiful.
The Noodle Helrix is like the most perfect thing to ever exist. You guys are just a bunch of heretics.
Yeah, but, no, I've still got to actually make my own Helrix monk, because as you guys know, Helrix is quite involved in Levorus' story. So.
Yeah, I plan to make a Helrix mock as well. Yeah. I'm probably going to end up using the WCP Helrix head for one of the two Helrix mocks that I plan to make. The other one will probably just use the canon Mask of Psychometry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought the canon contests were interesting. I didn't follow them too closely. Didn't really have an opinion on the Helrix one, but the Artaka one, WCP made a great mock for that one, in my opinion. I think my only complaint was that I did not finish my own Artaka mock in time to apply for the contest. I would have lost regardless, but I would have loved to try.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can always make your own version. It's never too late. You know,
Yeah.
Helrix has got an official model. Apparently, she's got a Bakari to work as a mask of psychometry. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to use this other mask I've got.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just Blue Onua.
Blue Anu.
Yeah.
Blue Anu.
That's what I kind of thought when the winner was announced, and I'm like, it's essentially Blue Onua. But at the same time, realizing, okay, Noodle Helrix was a threat, and I'm like, thank God I'm not seeing that.
Yeah. Well, they did the art contest, so canonically it looks different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the art contest made me kind of like the mock a lot more, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, like, the winning match,
I'll definitely get
there were,
pictures
like, a
up so
lot-
people can see what we're actually discussing. Because, you know,
yeah.
if you haven't seen the picture, well, obviously you won't have a reference point. So, yeah, I'll put up the mock and the actual art image as well.
Yes, all with the magic of editing.
Yeah, I would like to say though that despite the Noodle Helrix being weird, and that I think most of us here don't like it, it was, to be fair, still a good mock. Like the guy did a good job in actually making that thing stand. Because, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I was impressed with that because if those were the pieces I think they were, I was just like, how is this thing upright right now? I try and do that, I'd spend 20 minutes and still go nowhere.
Like, I'm pretty sure he just took, like, a lift arm and then, like attached, like, the feet to it or something. I think that's what he did to, like, make it stable. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's simply a god among men. He's like
Well, you
he's
gotta
like
beat
the flying spaghetti monster, just putting fossils in the ground to mess with us.
The memes were all right at first. They kind of got a bit old after a while, especially because, like, the mock actually kind of started to win, and it was kind of less of a joke at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But at first, it was kind of funny, but it just got out of hand.
Right. So, thinking maybe if you guys want, we can go over a small little like background description on our self mocks, so that people can help identify them a bit more.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, who's going first? Because I don't want to go first. I've gone first too many times.
I'll go first, and I'll keep the story I've got right now with my self-mock brief. So my self-mock is actually a Toakeda variation because the mask he is wearing is actually a Kanoe Aki that he finds underneath the temple of his village after surviving an encounter when he was still a Matoran. So he is quite the powerhouse, and his main struggle is he's got a lot of power. He just needs to learn to control it. Like, imagine trying to open a glass jar and how much force you have to apply to open that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? From a mental perspective, think of how much muscle you tell your body to use. He does the same thing, except he totally shatters the glass bottle. Like, even when he tries to restrain himself, he still does it. And then, yeah, people, whenever I post my self-mock, everyone wants to be all like, Spider-mock does whatever a Spider-mock does. With my wings and stuff like that, and the color scheme. But at the same time, I do want to work the saying on the idea, like, with great power comes great responsibility. Given he's a powerhouse, he has to take on these massive threats, and he's been trained by the best, the Grand Master of his village, not an ancient Tilla, but definitely an older, wiser one, and he intends to fulfill his duty as a protector.
Cool.
Yeah.
What kind of loadout has he got? Because, you know, he's got the Aki as his mask. Elemental powers of fire and water, I guess?
Fire, water, and electricity. So he's got 3 at his disposal. I'll go into actually a little bit of history as to where lightning comes in. I'm also a big fan of Magic the Gathering, and my favorite color pairing is blue-red. And when those two mix in one of the guilds on one of the worlds there, they work a lot with lightning. And that's like, if people ask, oh, if I wanted to exist in that universe, I'd be there, and lightning, hooray. So that's where lightning also comes in for the 3rd element. And in regards to more of his loadout. Yeah, his wings are bladed, so he's never without any real weapon. Plus, he is ridiculously strong, ridiculously fast. Again, it's, but with great power comes great responsibility, and he's got to learn to control it. He is just, a regular sized Toa. So he's got that big old great sword, and he'll have a couple. I'm making some other weapons for him. I think you guys recently saw the 2 half-bike things I made for him that I'm like, yeah, let me just make like half-bike, almost like a blend of saw and mace.
Hmm.
So, and I've got a couple others in the works. But I do want to keep... I think I'm going to get some bigger tires for those, like bike-like weapons, and there's also a lot of Devil May Cry references in the weapons, so...
I remember you showing me like the whole like cutscenes and stuff, referencing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't kill off Turaga Ben, okay? They've done that too many times.
Oh, no. He's
Turaga
not
Ben.
going to die.
Right.
That's actually...
Go on.
I was going to mention just the idea. It's like, I actually don't have any Turaga mocks. Like, that's something I know I want to do, but at the same time, make sure the articulation is, still good. Given the fact they're Formatilla, I feel like they should have standard articulation.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously be taller than average Matoran mocks.
Yeah. I like how I won't, because it'll be absolutely stupid, but I technically could build mocks using a Nika builds and call them a Tauren in Levoris' side.
I guess it could work when your self mock is like 14 inches tall.
On the next crossover.
Right, so Forrest, tell us about your self mock. Give us a bit of background on what kind of stuff he's got to his disposal.
Right. So, like I said earlier, his name is now Joharu, and he's a Toa of plant life. And keep in mind, his story is still very much a work in progress, so anything you hear here may and probably will change at least a bit. So, he's definitely one of the weaker Toa, so he doesn't have like some crazy powers or epic weapons with some enchantments or something.
Mm-hmm.
He just has the basic plant life control that any Toa of plant life would have, and then he has a gun, like a small pistol that's like not very powerful, but it can be pretty what's the word, like well, it's efficient anyways. So and for his story, he doesn't have a tragic backstory or anything, so he's like a kind of a normal guy. Well, as normal as you can be as a Toa. So but like currently in the story he's yeah, he's in the reformed Spheres Magna, and he's like gotten really interested in the like old great being and even older like ruins and structures and artifacts that they left behind. So he's like a explorer, kind of an Indiana Jones type character.
But you had mentioned that kind of Indiana Jones vibe you wanted to go with.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I need a skit where he has like the Indiana Jones fedora from the actual Lego minifigure on his head. He's like running away from a boulder, and he does like the classic, reaches back for the hat before he leaves as the door closes. I need that.
Yeah, we gotta make that. His mask, it's the Kanohirao Mask of Translation, which I think it fits with the whole archaeologist thing, so he can like translate old runes and stuff. Oh yeah, and he has like that scope which may have been created by the Germans. So German science is the best in the world.
Yeah.
I can't believe they wrote that line. I'll never forgive the Japanese.
Oh, right into it. How very you.
Cool. I do have a question. What caliber is his pistol?
Whatever is convenient for the plot.
One day it's a 50 cal, the next is a 22 long.
There it is. Yep.
It depends on who is fighting and the plot armor they have. Right, I guess.
Precisely.
I guess I'll go since we're going from bottom to top. Levoris is a Tower of Antidermis. He has a silver with a collection of 6 masks, but the one he uses the most is the Kanohi Krikas, which is a mask I made up, which is the Kanohi of Analysis. It allows him to analyze and pretty much...
Kowalski, analysis.
What was the one I got? Yeah, details. We'll sort it out. It's well, it wasn't analysis. Sorry, it was scrutiny. That was it. That was the word. Basically, over-analysis. So he can look into like stress joins on bridges and stuff, and go, well, if we need to take out the bridge, this is where we're going to do it from because I can see it. This is where it's weak. And the same thing applies to his enemies. He can go, well, you had a surgery the other day on your elbow, so your arm's weak. So I'll take advantage of that. And that's the main mask he uses, and it's kind of got like the heads-up display that you guys can see on the mock. Weapons-wise, he's got a halberd, which is nice and long, like a halberd should be. He's got 2 retractable chainsaws and a artillery barrage thing made up of Midex Sky Blasters because he can. And then obviously because his Titan size is quite tall, which is also plays into his advantage. And then, pretty much he runs around being a bodyguard for Helrix, even though she probably doesn't need one, but she's got one, so...
Simp.
I heard that, you bloody Indiana Jones. But there's kind of basic stories. He was around, didn't know he was built to be a bodyguard for Helrix, and eventually he gets betrayed by his team of Toa, and then Helrix saves him and then explains his true purpose, and he's like, oh, okay. And then kind of just lives on, dealing with it. That's pretty much where it goes. So, Pilot, you're up.
Alright, well, myself, Mok'Tray, is a Toe of Plant Life who is originally from a kind of like lost fragment of Cirrus Magna called Lycra Magna. So I guess kind of his backstory is like him and his Toa team kind of just like escaped from there and they returned to Cirrus Magna. Mm-hmm. And I guess like on Cirrus Magna, like this is kind of like far future from like the end of the 2010 Barnacle story. Like it takes place about like 2,500 years after that. Mm-hmm. So like the technology at that point is like advanced a lot. So like Toa at this point have like kind of like holograms in their armor and like all this, crazy stuff like that, like augmentations and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And upon their arrival to Cirrus Magna, like Teray and his Toa team also get like those same augmentations, and like there's this big war thing on the horizon that they end up getting involved in and all this stuff. So like Teray, let's see, he wears, so like it's kind of weird because like on the mock, right, he wears the adaptive Miru, the Axelar T9 set. Yeah. However, that isn't, like, canonically, that isn't technically a mask. It's actually a helmet. And what they can do with the helmets is kind of upload, like, up to 3 different Kanohi powers into the helmet. So Teray has levitation, elemental energy, and shielding, RS3.
Cool.
Then, in addition to that, he also has his plant life abilities.
Nice.
What are his weapons?
Well, he gets more throughout the story, but the main one he has at the start is his katana.
Mm-hmm. Neat. He is one who has studied the blade for a long time. Right, I think with that it's Frost's go to speak.
Okay, so my self-mock is Jay. He is a Toa of Ice. He basically has no idea what he's doing or why he is even there. Like, he was just a librarian back in his Matoran life, and he currently doesn't even know what his mask does. Like, overall, he's just getting his butt kicked. But he's going to try to figure out how to stop that happening and instead kick butt himself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, he doesn't have any weapons, does he? At least not to my knowledge.
He's got his fists and his brains. He's not good with either right now.
I see. Do you have plans on him maybe getting a weapon in the future?
Yes, I do. If he gets, not to spoil, but there's a mentor character that's gonna come in, and he might get a weapon from that mentor.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Like if it was like an heirloom passed down to him.
Yeah.
This sword was used by someone who I do not know, but he is apparently very important. And then Jay will be like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't need swords. Just leaves."
I have a great time.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
killed a man with this thumb. Now it's yours.
You have
A
paid man's
thumb.
thumb.
Thanks.
So this like floppy, bloody thumb. Take this. This shall be useful in your travels.
What am I supposed to do with this? Eat it and gain its power? That'd be funny. But yeah.
We should put that in the script for the Scholars of Kiora story.
Yeah.
That needs to be an important artifact that we need to hunt down or something.
Yeah. Beware it does not fall into the hands of your enemy, lest you never be able to bend down again.
Yeah. So, I think this is where we'll be calling the podcast for today, guys. For those of you that have sat through these lovely hour and a quarter, thank you for.
Has it really been that long?
It's already been that long, yes. So yeah, thank you for sitting by. We will be making more of these. You know, this isn't a one-off podcast because that'll be pretty silly, and you know, yeah, we'll definitely like to keep this. Yeah, say if you've gone through this far, do post a comment down in the comment section of like things you'd like us to discuss in the next one, like questions you may want to ask us, or just general things you think you'd be interested in seeing us discuss, like, you know, what contests that might be going on about people that we may not know. So, you know, just drop them down below. We'll have a read. We'll see what we come up for next time. So, for now, this has been the Scholars of Kiora. I am Toa Laboris, and I will be saying goodbye.
Do we also say goodbye?
That's your cue.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Adios.
The missed opportunity for you saying that in Finnish.
Humor.
Next podcast.
Yes.
Then I'll do it.
Alright, remember to like and subscribe. See you guys later. 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 Subscribe. See you guys later.